What is happening, M0A Nation? Jason here. Just hanging out for a bit, watching all your comments come in. Head over to the chat on Facebook, on YouTube, check in and say hi. I see Ron G in there. Anna Claypool, I see the big day is coming, November 8th for a knowledge test. That's awesome. Username Outdoor Tory, great to see you. Jody Span, as always, great to see you. Username The Average Joe 93. You know what? I don't think you're that average. I think you're pretty amazing. Welcome to the webinar. Julio, welcome to the webinar as well. Seswick, as always, great to see you. Hank Patton, great to see you on here, watching on YouTube as well. Tonight, we are giving away that iPad. If you're not already entered, it's m0acontest.com. And of course, there's a little bit of content in here as well. We'll be talking about some IFR decision making. So something to look forward to, Wait and Savon and Pilot Ty and Andy. So really looking forward to that. Hey, for those of you that are in here now, the couple hundred of you watching between YouTube and Facebook, will you check in, just like Craig Wood did? He said, good evening from Atlanta. I want to know where on earth you're watching from. Austin Timmerman, where are you watching from? That's what I really want to know. And how's the beard? You know, that's important to me too. Hey, Valerie, great to see you. Check in where you're watching from, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. M0A Nation, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. We'll be rolling here. IFR decision making while you're waiting, just like Denton did, just like Sal in Leesburg did. Been to Leesburg a few times. Check in the chat where you're watching from, airport, city, doesn't matter. I see the Bahama flag flying there. Manny, always good to see you, my friend, in Chicago. Rudy in Long Island, great to see you. Dale at SGF. I don't know if I'm familiar with SGF or 6 Delta 6, where Jesse's at. Germany, I appreciate you watching. Dankeschön. Jesus, great to see you. Craig, good to see you. Awesome. Paul in Massachusetts, so great to see so many of you out here. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Look forward to sharing not only who's going to win the iPad, but also some IFR decision making. My goal tonight is for you to walk away a safer, smarter pilot. About 1 minute, we'll be rolling again. I saw a few of you asking, Andy was asking how to get enter for the contest. Head over real quick to m0acontest.com, m0acontest.com, Andy, to get yourself in there as well. A lot in Ohio. Good to see you. Eureka, Illinois. I love it. I love it. Username Benevolent Ball on the commercial check ride. Hunter, great to see you. Chattanooga, Tennessee, with my buddy Lee. Good to see you. A few Ohio. What are you? You're from Ohio? An Ohioan? Ohioan? An Ohioan for sure. Frigid, Austin, Texas is Coach Ray. Is it really frigid, Coach Ray? Does Texas get that cold? I wonder about that. Hey, we're gonna be here. I've got 30 seconds. I better go get ready. I'll put myself back on mute, and I'll see you in 30 seconds. What is happening? M0A, Jason Schappert here. So thankful, so blessed that you've taken time out of your, is it a Monday night? Time out of your Monday night to find ways to better yourselves as a pilot. It is Monday. It is 8 p.m. Show of hands. Ron G, I know you're there with me. It's past your bedtime a little bit. It's past my bedtime. I start going to bed around 8:30. Just ask anybody. It's all true. So great to see you. I'm staying up late for you guys, so hopefully you will be playing full out as well. I saw some of you watching. I saw Guam. It's got to be morning in Guam, but I saw Germany, Grenada, Telvin, great to see you. Gianfranco, as always, good to see you as well. Mark, great to see you on here. Jason, Kevin Cook, as always. By the way, when I am looking this way, I am just saying hi to everybody who is checking in here as well. There's Austin. Again, great to see. Austin was on YouTube and now he's on Facebook. He's just a man of many, many platforms as far as that goes. Hey, tonight we're talking about some IFR decision making. Not only are we talking about IFR decision making, we'll be giving away an iPad, m0acontest.com, if you're not already in there. And I am just so thankful and honored that you're taking that time to better yourself as a pilot. While you all are checking in over here, and I want to know where, if you haven't checked in already, like Robbie did, or Chris in Maryland. You know I was born in Maryland, Chris. Check in the chat. Where are you watching from? Either city or airport. Check in the chat on YouTube, on Facebook, just so I get to know you a little bit more. as far as that goes. And also, while you're doing that, make sure on YouTube, on Facebook, you remember to like and subscribe as well, so you don't miss any live stream updates like this. We're doing these really once a month. It's 2023, thus it's the year of 2-3 Mike Zulu. So thankful that you all are here. A few other little announcements we need to get through while Dominic is checking in from I-69, where he says it's very cold. I see Little Rock, Arkansas. I see Toronto. Boston, Felicia. Hey, Rachel, great to see you. Congrats on all your success, by the way, recently as well. Kevin, we know you're in Jacksonville. We know that. Jacksonville alumni, basically. In Chicago as well, New York, Portage, Wisconsin. I've been to Wisconsin once or twice. It's cold there right now too. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Pompano. So good to see so many of you. Hey, while you're checking in, a very important announcement that is going to make Hunter and a few other Italian Mark, who's watching right now, it's going to make Kristen and Phoenix, all of you very, very happy. This Saturday is In-Flight Coffee. And not just those people that I named down, I'm sure there's many others that'll be happy about that. In-Flight Coffee is November 4th, AKA Ella's birthday. She did give me permission to do In-Flight Coffee on her birthday. So it'll be Ella birthday celebration as well, as far as that goes. So November the 4th at 11 a.m. is going to be there. It's on the M0A Facebook and YouTube. It'll be on both. In-Flight Coffee is on both, just like how you're watching it now is exactly where that will be. We're going to have a radio communications theme as far as that goes, so really looking forward to that. By the way, I see my good friend Valerie is watching. Valerie, your friend Magda, you know what she told me? Well, she told me it's your birthday on Friday. And I feel like we were with you last time for your birthday, and I just want to know where we celebrate your birthday this Friday. My calendar's wide open. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I'm supposed to have jury duty this week. I've never been summoned to jury duty in my life, and I just keep logging on that thing going, don't pick me. I didn't get picked today or tomorrow. So if I don't have jury duty, Valerie, I'll be at your birthday party. So we can have that. But anyways, so good to see you. Hey, do I have any first-timers on here? First-timers, type in me in the chat if this is your first time ever being on an M0A live stream. I just want to know who is their first time ever being on a live stream. By the way, Valerie, Eric can come too. Just so you know, as far as that. And in addition to my first-timers, where are my ground school members at? I want to know. I already saw a bunch of our online ground school members, Valerie being one of them. Where else? Look at all these first-timers. And then ground school members pile in there too with some me's as well. Louis says first time in a long time. Well, it counts. It counts. Suzuki, great to see you on here. Sophia, Christopher, great to see you. Jeff, awesome. There's a ground school member. Lane, great to see you. Lane, you haven't been on a Tuesday webinar in like 2 weeks. I'm just concerned. Was it maybe I missed last week? That's what it is, Lane. That's what really happened. Mike, great to see you on here. A lot, great to see you. Awesome. So good to see so many of you on here as well. Austin, best beard in aviation. I feel like I say it every live stream, but it's true. I mean, just look at the guy. Can we show his profile picture? I feel like we show it every webinar. Tell me that's not the best beard in aviation. I've met Austin before, and I've seen it in real life. Best beard in aviation. Maybe I'm jealous because I can't grow one. Hey, if you're not an online ground school member, you'd like to become one, head over to m0atrial.com. Speaking of that, ground school members, big webinar tomorrow at 2 o'clock for you all. I'm doing an IFR, VFR combined mock check ride. So that's tomorrow, Tuesday at 2, because I did not get summoned for jury duty, so I'm able to do the webinar. If not, I would have done it from courthouse. I'm sure they would have been thrilled. John Franco, great to see you. Another amazing, not only an online ground school member, John Franco cleaned 2-3 Mike Zulu the other day. I didn't even ask him to do it. What a good guy. Hey, Jill, good to see you on here as well. Andy, miss you all too. All right, let's dive into it. You all came here for content and to see if you're going to win the iPad. I mean, let's be honest here. Let's dive into it. Tonight we're talking about really IFR decision making. Now, I know many of you are VFR only pilots. This is going to apply to you all the same. It's going to have a heavy IFR flavor to it, but it's going to apply to everyone really watching here. And I want to start by kicking off with a premise. And I want to see if you'll agree to this. So let me show it to you real quick here. Can we all agree with this statement? That training never stops when you want to be a master pilot. Let me ask you something. By agreeing in the chat, type it in me, who'd like to be a master pilot? Right? What is a master pilot? That's like getting your black belt in aviation. I am not a master pilot just yet. I aspire to be a master pilot. I'm a proficient pilot right now in some aspects of aviation. I'm not in others like rotorcraft or seaplanes or things I haven't done in a while. But I know where I'm proficient, I know where I'm current, and I know where I'm pursuing mastery. And based on the comments in the chat, it looks like you all do too. Because training never stops when you want to be a master pilot. Think about it this way. If you or a loved one needed some urgent medical care or had a medical scare, let's say, you wouldn't go to the doctor who said, yeah, the last time I was in training, well, that was back in med school, 30 years ago. They're not keeping up on the latest clinical trials or the latest medical journals or the latest science. They're just going off of what they learned 30 years ago. You would never go to that doctor. You wouldn't go to a lawyer that, oh, I passed the bar 30 years ago. I keep it current, but I'm no longer practicing. You probably wouldn't go to that person, right? You want the person who's that good pilot, that good doctor, that good lawyer that's always learning. Why would it be any different for us in aviation? If you want to be a master pilot, your training never stops. In fact, the more you learn, the more it affects everyone around you. And truth be told, we learn a lot in the school of hard knocks that is aviation sometimes. We do our best on these live streams. My prayer before every live stream is to save just one life, and I'm confident we'll do that here tonight with what we're going to share. But in addition to that, we learn so often, even beyond what we teach in our online ground school and everything else, we learn from experience. I asked this last webinar, and I'll ask the question again by a hand raise emoji or some way of telling me in the chat, who's ever scared themselves in an airplane? Just a little bit. You were in control. I'm not talking you're on Delta or something. You were in control. Who's ever scared themselves just a little bit maybe in an airplane, right? Some of you should be raising both hands because I know I'd be raising both hands most certainly. Yeah, I've scared myself in an airplane. And one of the things I learned early on in my training was a healthy respect for weather. I shared this story in one of our YouTube and Facebook social media videos this month. I shared the story of my very first solo cross country. It was to the Cross City Airport, a 53 nautical mile flight, nothing crazy. A nice little Cherokee 140, you all have heard all about 6711 Juliet, the Cherokee 140. I soloed, did my private and my instrument pilot in, had one of those old Apollo GPS and a LORAN in it. The Apollo GPS was black and orange screen, not orange was the color, and had dropped little breadcrumbs, and you had to put longitude and latitude in there just to know where you're actually going to. And I remember I took off, and the clouds that day were scattered like at 2,500. And I didn't think anything of it because, well, IFR, well, that's 1,000 feet, and it needed to be broken or overcast to even be considered that. So in my mind, in this world I lived in as a 16-year-old kid, without having these personal minimums, I decided to embark on my first solo cross country scattered 2,500 feet. Well, I got up there, and my idea was, well, maybe I'll just stay below the clouds. Talk about good cross-country flight planning, right? Well, I'm looking, I'm going, I can't do this whole thing at 2,000 feet. There's towers and stuff out here, and this seems dangerous. I should get above the clouds. So there was a scattered layer. I found a great gap, and I climbed above the clouds and got on my heading and continued on. And I don't know, I was at 4,500 feet. I can't totally remember. West is best, so probably 4,500 feet. And I remember flying along. And have you ever been flying and you watch that scattered layer become a broken layer, and then it turns into that overcast layer? And I can't make this up. This is before cell phone cameras and everything else. I don't have any actual proof of it. But I remember flying along, and literally, as far as you could see, it was this white blanket of clouds. And as an instrument pilot and a CFII, that's a really cool sight to see. But as a, I don't know, 15, 16 hour, just soloed on my first solo cross country student pilot, that was a really, really scary thing to see. And what did I do? I had to finish my cross country, so I just kept going. And again, it's like the definition of insanity. I just kept flying, like with this weird, twisted thought that, well, it'll be better when I get to Cross City, right? I never got to Cross City. The little Apollo GPS was blinking, telling me, I've arrived at Cross City, and I'm looking down, and I don't see Cross City. And I wasn't about to descend down through this stuff and try to find Cross City. At least I had that much sense in me. So I circled where the little Apollo orange GPS told me Cross City was, and I went and I flew my way all the way back. And thankfully, while the clouds were getting worse at Ocala, they were somewhere between scattered and broken. I was able to find a hole in the clouds and get back down, and you better believe I landed shaking. And my instructor said, are you okay? Did everything go okay? I said, I didn't make it to Cross City. What do you mean you didn't make it to Cross City? I said, I never saw Cross City. Well, did you follow your checkpoints? I couldn't see my checkpoints. I was above the clouds. She let me hear it on that one. There's no doubt about that. Some tough love. Well, probably one of my best instructors, her name was Mary, gave me in many situations, including where I missed the runway. Many of you remember that. Any other first solo stories? Mary, I see, lost everything but comms on my first solo cross country. I think Hunter had another one down there too, I saw in the corner of my eye. I got lost in fog on my first solo cross. I'm glad I am not alone with this. Listen, your first solo cross country should be like a clear and unlimited, and there shouldn't even be a cloud in the sky at all. Justin said, scared myself low ceilings on takeoff, almost stalled in IMC. And that's really the topic here today. Let me ask you a question. Did I do anything illegal? I never actually went in the clouds. I might have on finding the hole back on down. I probably wasn't perfectly 2,000 feet from the clouds. I didn't have my ruler with me to measure it. But was I doing anything illegal on top of the clouds? No, the weather was VFR. I was what's called VFR over the top. And although I couldn't get back down, and although I'd be in a really bad spot if there's an engine failure, I didn't do anything illegal. And you think, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. And really my focus here tonight is on this idea of instrument or IFR decision making, and even for my private pilots. Have you all, and I've really pushed this a lot, it's an older study. If you haven't seen it, you're going to see it here again tonight. Who's seen my demonstration of 178 seconds? Or who even knows what 178 seconds is? Maybe a few of you do, but it was a Safer Pilot Challenge video maybe 2 years ago, but it's called 178 seconds, and it's a study actually from back in 1991 by the University of Illinois. And what they did is they took 20 private pilots, with no instrument ratings, and they took them and they put them in the clouds. All 20 had something in common. They all found the ground eventually. This is in a simulator, by the way, in spectacular fashion, meaning they all crashed. They didn't land successfully. The only thing that was different was their time, how long it took them to crash. The average was 178 seconds. The FAA took this and ran with it and made a narrative, and the amazing M08 team took it a step further and added a visual component to it with an animation. I'm going to narrate what the FAA wrote and try to sync it up here with our animation. Let's play this quickly here. The sky is the sky is overcast and the visibility is poor. That reported 5 miles visibility, well, it looks more like 2. And you can't judge the height of the overcast. Your altimeter says you're at 1,500 feet, but your map tells you there's local terrain as high as 1,200 feet. There might even be a tower nearby because you're not just sure how far off course you really are. But you know what? you've flown in worse weather than this, so you press on. You find yourself unconsciously easing just a bit back on the controls to clear those not so imaginary towers. With no warning, you're in the soup. You peer hard through that milky white mist, but your eyes literally hurt. You fight the feeling in your stomach. You realize you should have waited for better weather. That appointment was important, but not that important. From this point where we enter VFR and IMC, we have 178 seconds. Your aircraft feels on an even keel, but your compass turns slowly. You push a little rudder to add pressure on the controls to stop that left turn, but this feels unnatural, so you return the controls to their original position. This feels better, but your compass is now turning a little bit faster, and your airspeed is increasing slightly. You scan your instrument panel for help, but it all looks somewhat unfamiliar. You're just in a bad spot, but you'll clear out in a few minutes, but you don't have several minutes. You now have 108 seconds. You glance at your altimeter. You're shocked to see it unwinding. You're already at 1,200 feet. Instinctively, you pull back on the controls, but the altimeter still unwinds. The engine is into the red, and the airspeed nearly so. We now have 70 seconds. There must be something wrong with my controls. Pulling back only moves that airspeed indicator further into the red. You hear the wind beginning to tear at the aircraft. You now have 40 seconds. Suddenly, as the airspeed works and pushes itself into the red, you peer, looking for anything, a horizon, anything. Suddenly, you see the ground, the trees begin to rush up at you. You see the horizon if you turn your head far enough. It's at a weird angle, though, and you're almost inverted. Now, that was an accelerated 178 seconds, but it illustrates the point of this inadvertent VFR flight into instrument conditions. 20 private pilots did it in a simulator, and they all ended up in the trees, like we did in this example. The only difference was how long it took them to actually get there. You know, VFR, meaning private pilot only, flying inadvertently into the clouds, if it leads to an accident, it has over an 80% fatality rate. This is not something to mess around with. This is why I often teach one of the most important maneuvers you can learn. And CFIs watching, like Hunter and others out there, and Texas Mark and others, the 180-degree standard rate turn is one of the most powerful maneuvers you can teach your learners. Let me say that again for those that aren't a CFI. Learning to make usually a left hand, assuming that's easiest, a left hand standard rate timed turn to get yourself out of that junk is one of the best maneuvers you can learn. Because what I should have done the moment I got on top of those clouds and saw that sea of white was to go right back on down, right back to where I started. In my weird mind, I kept telling myself, and I know I'm not alone with this, is why I'm being kind of vulnerable in sharing this. Oh, it'll get better. They say it in the 178 seconds narrative from the FAA. Oh, I've flown in worse weather before. We're going to hear that phrase come back in just a little bit. I love Jeff's comment, by the way. He said, this is why I'm working on my instrument rating. Even if you're never going to use it, have it. So let me teach you something else here. And our online ground school members know this, and I'll come back to that thought as well. We built something out, and by we, I mean Dave G did, who's on this, watching on Facebook right now, called Perceptual Learning Modules. And where I got the idea from was from, again, back in the, good stuff happened in the 90s. The 178-second study. In 1995, a professor at UCLA began to take instrument panels as static images, show them to a pilot for as long as 6 seconds, take them away and say what was happening in that configuration. Oh, it was a climbing left turn. Show them another one for 5.5 seconds, take it away. What was happening? Oh, that was a spin to the left. Show them another one. What was happening? Oh, that's a descending left-hand turn. And they'd quiz them, and each time they get faster and faster. Well, we actually built this out inside the online ground school, and I want to take you through a little rapid-fire series of them. So now is a good time to make sure you are full screen if you're on a mobile device, or at least eyes on the screen. If you're driving, I understand. I'm not going to pause in between. We're going to go rapid fire here very, very quickly, and we're going to work through this. You ready? Here we go. What do you see? 6 seconds. What do you see? Quick, quick, quick. Scan that instrument. G1000. I saw a right climbing turn. Let's do another one here. Oh, this is not a good situation. What do you see? I see a spin very much. Which direction were we spinning to? We were spinning to the right. Let's do another one. Quick, it's getting faster and faster. A level right-hand turn. A level right-hand turn. All right, let's do another one. Just the opposite, right? A level left-hand turn. Level left-hand turn. All right, let's do a few more here. Oh, mixing it up on you here. What do you see? Same as the last one, just on a six-pack. A level left-hand turn. I think I have one more here for you. Descending right-hand turn. I'll leave that up on the screen here for just a second. A descending right-hand turn. Perceptual learning modules, right? It is a great way to practice because here's what happens in the airplane. Here's what's really happening in there. You just have a moment to scan those instruments, digest what you're seeing, and do something with your hands. It's really that simple. And by the way, if you want to do more of that, I can encourage you to go to m0atrial.com. Again, big webinar tomorrow. And plus, you can play the perceptual learning modules. Try to beat Ron G's high score. I think he still has the high score of like 1.5 million or something along that. But and thank you to the M0A team for working so diligently on that. Again, it's so much more than just the ground school. This is like life-saving little devices in there that allow you to scan those instruments, and they'll bounce between 6-pack and G1000 just to really keep you on your toes like that, because you're going to bounce between airplanes. Even if you own an airplane, just have the opportunity. Airplane single-engine land doesn't say glass, steam, or anything like that. Those are the things you got to focus on. Can you scan that as it gets fast? And it gets as fast as 2 seconds, by the way. Can you scan it, digest what it's saying, and then do something about it? That's where you get good at your instrument flying. That's the kind of repetition. That's the going to the mental gym for instrument flying that you need to be doing, is working on your instrument scan. And not just scanning it, but by digesting it and understanding what to do with it. So now, knowing that, I want to share with you, and I want to, if I can, just give you 2 easy-ish homework assignments. I want to give you 2 homework assignments here that we're going to work through each of these together. If I was private pilot only, or like a few of you out there getting ready to start instrument, or currently actively working on my instrument, I would love for you to focus on these 2 things. Obviously, I want you to get in there and practice the perceptual learning modules. That's the instrument scanning game and all this stuff. But if I could highlight 2 important things, it's this. I need you to focus on partial panel. Focus on partial panel. Question, when's the last time you did anything partial panel? John Franco, when's the last time you did partial panel steep turns? When is the last time, Dave G., you did a partial panel, vacuum system failure, ILS approach? Kyle, when's the last time you put yourself under the hood with someone next to you, obviously, safety pilot, and simulated a vacuum system failure, simulated a pedostatic blockage, simulated all these things? Now, some of you, if you're active in your training like Austin and some others maybe, it's recent. Some of you are going, my check ride, my flight review, my IPC, right? This is that muscle. This is what we need to practice. 2 years ago, I did a big study of Mel Carnahan accident. He was the governor of Mississippi. He was running a very, very tight race for Senate. His son was his pilot in a Cessna, basically a Cessna 340. Commercial multi-engine pilot, 1,800 hours, 500 hours in this Cessna 340, we'll call it here. Flying his dad all around. They'd had 6 campaign stops that day. I'm talking giving a speech, shaking hands, kissing babies. They're on stop number 6. They're grabbing fuel. This is in Missouri. Mountainous, hilly, we'll call it. Some of you would say those aren't mountains. So hilly area. And Mel Carnahan's son is at the FBO, and the weather's starting to roll in. The fog's starting to come. And the line guy comes out to him and says, yeah, the weather looks really, really bad. And Mel Carnahan's son, who's the pilot, says, I've flown in worse weather before. Well, on takeoff, he had a vacuum system failure. Now, in his Cessna 340, they had redundant instruments. So 6-pack on the left side, 6-pack on the right side, 2 vacuum pumps. However, he had never practiced partial panel with what's called a parallax effect. Where are my CFIs, CFIIs at? You know why I always sit in the right seat, right? It's because I know how to scan those instruments with a parallax effect. You put the instruments right in front of me, it's like, well, that's a little more challenging, right? He had never scanned the instruments while he had a perfectly good attitude indicator, a perfectly good headed indicator on his co-pilot's side. He had never trained scanning those instruments with a parallax effect and ended up spinning the airplane and crashing. You see, your pilot certificate is just when it's a temporary, it's a piece of paper. When they send you the one in the mail, it's a piece of plastic. Your knowledge is seen in your behavior, right? What you know, but also how you apply what you know. Knowledge isn't power, knowledge is potential power. You have to start to build these little checkpoints in your decision-making process. When someone, and I've made this mistake, when someone comes out to you and says, gosh, the weather looks really bad, and you find yourself using words like, I've flown in worse weather before. It's only green on the radar. Oh, I've been in windier conditions before. I've made these mistakes. Ground school members know this. I've made these mistakes not too terribly long ago, flying in conditions where it's just like, that was stupid, Jason. That was a learning moment. I'm thankful to be on the ground, and we're not doing that again, right? Those are that's the stuff that's not in the book. That's why I teach those stories so often, because next time you're flying and there's a scattered layer and you're tempted to get above it, you're going to say, no, remember that time Jason got stuck on top, and I really don't want to get stuck on top. That's why we teach through these stories. And you're right, Hunter, it is a macho hazardous attitude. In my case, it was a impulsive hazardous attitude. I got to get this VFR solo cross country done because my check ride's coming up soon. I'm turning 17 and I want to get my check ride done. That was my impulsive. I felt I had to do it. Well, you never have to be anywhere in aviation isn't just a catchy slogan. It's truly something you all have to live by. So what are some other phrases? Will you put it in the chat? What are some other things you've heard pilots say, or maybe be humble enough to share? You've said them yourself. It's only green on the radar. I've flown in worse weather before. I always fly this route. What are some other things? Cecilia, I love your comment. It is a continuation bias. It'll get better. I just keep going. It'll get better by the time I get to the Cross City Airport. And it doesn't, right? It really, really doesn't with that. What are some other things that you've heard people say? Someone said, send it, bud. Yeah, if someone tells me send it, bud, that's usually not a good thing to say. Let's see, it's clear on top. Yeah, I see that one. Look at Victoria's. Wind isn't that bad. I can handle the gusts. That's right. Ooh, I love Ron's. It's just a short flight. Like, can you be filing these away mentally for you? Because when you find yourself thinking or saying these things, slow down. Now, Ron, if you find yourself going, it's just a short flight. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go cancel the flight. But Ron, I need that to be a gut check moment for you. Go, you're doing pre-flight, and you go, that's just a short flight. You go, I should like double my pre-flight now because I just had that thought, right? Ooh, I love username Beal Runner. I know the area well enough. I fly that airport all the time. You know, I've been flying out of Naples a lot, and they just closed a portion of Taxiway Delta, and you'd be amazed at the pilots that can't find their way out of there. I'll save names, but there was a jet being operated that could not read back his taxi clearance for anything, and eventually the controller just said, follow the blue Skyhawk, please. Just follow him. I'm like, I felt important for once. Someone's got to follow me. Let's see. Oh, I love braces. We got a second radar in the plane. I've got two ADS-B. I've got XM and I've got ADS-B, right? We'll be fine. Yeah. Oh, look at Mary's. Autopilot's got my back. Autopilot can fly the approach. I don't have to fly the approach. I like Adams. It's just a small layer of clouds. I can push right through it. Well, a few becomes a scattered, becomes a broken, becomes an overcast, doesn't it? Right? Oh, I love username D-Cell. It's Florida. The storms are spotty. I'll go around them. Oh, it's just a Florida afternoon thunderstorm. Is it though? I haven't done the study on it just yet, but I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I haven't even told the team this just yet. I found an NTSB report with an aircraft that flew into one of those storms, got sucked up to 23,000 feet, shot back down and was able to recover. Airplane did not break at around like 7,000 feet, shot back out and safely landed the airplane. I'm working on that study now, so that's coming. I mean, can't even fathom that. NTSB estimated it was upside down 2 or 3 times. I mean, just crazy, crazy stuff. So homework assignment number 1 was what? It was to focus on partial panel. Focus on partial panel and watch. As you do that, you need to watch for those little phrases too, because that's when Mel Carnahan's son probably had flown in worse weather before, but he wasn't expecting the partial panel. And that's when accidents compound. They're links in the chain. Your second homework assignment is this. You got to stay ahead of the airplane. Who's ever fallen behind the airplane before? Everybody should, if you've ever flown an airplane in your life, you should all be like waving right now. Everybody's fallen behind the airplane. You're in a hunk of metal going 90 knots and there's no pause button. Everyone here has fallen behind the airplane at some point. How can we work to stay ahead of the airplane? Well, in instrument flying, we teach brief your approach on the ground. I started, as you saw in this month's video series, briefing my approaches. What was the Orlando one? I was like 50 miles out and I'm briefing the thing. And they switched it all on me, but that's okay. You have to be always asking yourself, what's next? I'm constantly playing this weird game where I'm listening, like if I'm on flight following or an instrument flight plane, doesn't matter. I'm constantly listening for airplanes that are ahead of me. I go, oh, 6711 Juliet. It sounds like they're about 20 miles ahead of me. I'll get on ADS-B and confirm, oh yeah, good, they're up there, they're ahead of me. So, and they're flying kind of a similar heading. So when they give 6711 Juliet, contact Jack's approach 118.6, you better believe I'm getting 118.6 ready. Or when 6711 Juliet calls up and says, hey, I need 10 left for weather, I'm going, what weather? It looks gorgeous. Well, they're 30 miles ahead of me. I don't see it just yet. But what I'm seeing on ADS-B, what I'm seeing on NextRad is probably legit because they're in the same vicinity I am and they're talking about weather. You know, anytime I'm on a frequency, with the exception of maybe a center, because center covers a very large area, but I'm still paying attention. If anyone's ever asking for a deviation for weather, my ears perk up. Because if you're on the same frequency as me, you're somewhere within 100 miles of me, and if there's weather that's causing you to go around it, I'd like to know about it. It may not even affect me, but that's another way to think ahead of the airplane. Going into a pilot-controlled airport, I love to tune up the CTAF or the Unicom as early as possible on COM2 and start listening. What's happening there? Are they landing the runway I think they should be landing? Or is it their wind's 360 at 8 and everyone's landing 18? And you're going, what on earth are you guys doing over there? Right? Listening ahead. Always asking yourself, what is next? Think of it in the instrument environment. I'm getting this really crummy vector. I've got this 90-degree vector that I'm getting. I know they're going to give me a big left turn. They're going to give me that long radio call is coming. 23 Mike Zulu, you're 5 miles from the final approach fix. Turn left heading 020, maintain 2000 until established. Clear ILS 36 into Ocala. And you go, say again? But if you knew that was coming, you know that radio call is next, you're ready for it. You know the format, you're this far from the final approach fix, turn to this heading, maintain this until this, cleared this approach. It's the same format every time. That's why you can rattle it off. And when you're anticipating it, it's no longer a surprise for you. And that's what I want you to focus on, is to stay ahead of the airplane. If you are not asking yourself what is next, you are falling behind the airplane. And like I said, there is no pause button when it comes to that. If I give you a third homework assignment, I would say, make sure you're in the M0A online ground school. Again, m0atrial.com. If you want to see any of that stuff we just did, the perceptual learning modules, play around with that a little bit more, see the courses, private, instrument, commercial, fundamentals of instructing, CFI now as well, for you to check out with that. We'll talk a lot about staying ahead of that airplane tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow at 2 ground school members, don't forget, 2 Eastern, we're doing our big mock checker. I want to see every ground school member there, every gold member there. So make sure 2 p.m. Eastern, IFR, VFR mock check ride. So our 2 bits of homework. I need you to focus on partial panel. Hopefully that was a wake-up call for you going, when's the last time I did anything partial panel? I don't care if you're VFR or IFR. Secondly is to stay ahead of that airplane by asking questions. Questions are the answers. Ask yourself the question, what is next? What should I be doing next? What frequency should I be doing? What taxiway diagram should I review? What approach should I be briefing? You never want to find yourself flying what I call fat, dumb, and happy. And sometimes, well, you think, well, there's nothing else to do on a 2-hour-long cross country, Jason. Yes, there is. You play the weird, twisted game called, where would I go if my engine quit? It sounds weird, but I'm always going, my engine quit right now, I'm going over there to that field. As that field flies away and gets back there and is no longer a viable option, I start the game over again. Where would I go if my engine quit right now? I'd go right there. And I'm constantly playing that game, okay? Constantly playing that game as far as that goes. So that is your homework assignment. Again, ground school members, that webinar I was talking about, Anthony, will be for the ground school members once you're logged into the online ground school. It's not here on YouTube and Facebook. That's inside their member-only portal. So you can see that as well. Show of hands, who learned something here tonight? I know it's late. I know it's past your bedtime. I know you got your chamomile tea and everything else. But who learned just a little something? Just a little something tonight. Hopefully a few of you here. I want to move and let's give away the iPad. The team has sent me over the winner, but awesome for those of you, awesome for learning. I almost said everyone won something. That'd been expensive. For learning something, thank you, Don Gibson. Awesome. Thank you, Ed Kessler. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Cecilia. Appreciate you all so much. Robbie. Hey, Chris Stater, great to see you on here. Dave Shields, great to see you. Rick, awesome, awesome, awesome. Robert, thank you. So now that you learned something, do I have your permission to move on and give away the iPad? After that, you're certainly welcome to go to bed, and some of you will, but it'll be question time. So any questions you have, start to type them in the chat as far as that goes. I'll do my best to take all of them, but there's quite a few of you here, so we'll just do our best to work through that. There's almost 400 of you watching this between the 2, YouTube and Facebook. So let's give away the iPad here. I still need that drum roll sound effect. We don't have it. Our winner of the iPad from North Las Vegas, which is VGT, been there before, is Aaron. Is it Divney? I'm going to say Divney. Aaron, congratulations. An iPad is coming your way only after you reach out to us. So Aaron, hopefully you're watching and you're out there. Send us an email, support at m0a.com. I believe we have that awesome. And if we don't hear from Aaron in a while, we'll reach out to Aaron. But congratulations to Aaron on that iPad. We did end up really, really thankful and excited for the M0A team coming up with that. Again, as I go into question time, m0atrial.com for anybody who wants to be on that webinar tomorrow, as well as just check out the online ground school as well. I don't know if Aaron was out there watching. I'll watch the chat and kind of see. I want to open it up now for questions. Any questions, any comments? Now is your turn to ask them. I'm sorry, there's some funny comments. Username base to final was quite funny. Anyways, any questions you have about aviation? I guess let's keep it aviation-wise. And PG-13. Any questions you have aviation-wise, now is a great time to ask those. Go ahead and type those on in. Someone asked about a M0 CFI instructor portal. Weeks away from happening. Awesome on that one. Jeremy said, I'm a student pilot, haven't heard of the 178-second study. How do people get inverted? It is spatial disorientation, my friend, and it will sneak up on you, and I've had it. I won't get into all my stories of it, but inverted doesn't take as much as you would think by letting spatial disorientation sneak in. I did a study of go look up Air China, I think it's 006. That's an airliner that got inverted because of 3 pilots experienced spatial disorientation, didn't trust their instruments, and inverted an airliner with 300 people on board and broke a piece of the tail off and were able to land successfully. Air China 006, go look it up. I'm pretty sure it's 006. Ella from Ohio, he's an Ohioan, asked, how does an instrument rating help with spatial disorientation? You know, there's such a difference between being under the hood of the foggles and being in the clouds for real. An instrument rating is going to make you, now you don't have to really stick your head in the clouds to earn an instrument rating, which breaks my heart as far as that goes. However, my friend, not only spatial disorientation, it just gives you more flyable days. It gives you more options. It helps make you that safer, smarter pilot by improving on your radio communications, making your skill set, your flight bag, literally that much more robust as far as that goes. Your instrument scanning techniques will get so good because you're forced in that environment. It is just concentrated training towards that. So good. And John Franco, you all remember from the spatial disorientation video. Which video? That was a while ago. John Franco was my student in that spatial disorientation video where I made him go all over the place. So he got to experience it. Let's go find some other things. Matthew, biggest stumbling block on private pilot check ride. I have my check ride in 10 days. Well, hopefully, I'm not selling you anything, but hopefully you have passed your private pilot check ride on audiobook preferably, so you can continue to listen to it and consume it. It's like a 2-hour-long mock check ride. You got to listen to me for 2 hours, though. Hopefully you can do that. 10 days out from your check ride, my friend, focus on your aircraft's POH. They're going to quiz you on your aircraft systems, your engine, your electrical system, all these things for your aircraft. Make sure you know your V-speeds. I would study your POH thoroughly. Don't just assume, oh yeah, VX is my best angle. No, what is the number, right? That's what they want to know as well. Manny in Chicago asks, can you work on your instrument while still on private pilot? Yes, some people have done them concurrently. It's a little bit confusing because you're bouncing between different charts, different symbols, different colors, all of that. But you certainly can accomplish some of those things towards your instrument while working on private pilot simultaneously, so you have a bit of a head start when you get into it. It's going to slow down your private pilot, but it'll speed up your instrument pilot. So you got to balance that out a little bit for you as well. I want to take Joshua's question about tips for the CFI oral exam. My friend, remember the CFI oral exam, first off, it's a minimum of 4 hours. Bring water, bring snacks, know where the bathroom is, be willing to take breaks. Remember, that check ride could go any way. They could say, hey, I, as your DPE, I'm going to be the dumb student pilot. Teach me something. I'm going to act dumb and ask dumb questions, right? Or they could say, hey, I'm the smart student pilot. I'm going to go really deep on this level. Or they could say, hey, teach me steep turns. Great. Teach me steep turns at a commercial pilot level now. You've got to be ready for it's going to be one big scenario. So be ready for that. And just make sure you can delineate between teaching a private pilot steep turns and teaching a commercial pilot steep turns on the ground. Make sure you can draw that line as far as that goes. Let's find some other ones here. Let's see. Continuing to read, if we could scroll up just a few more. Let's find, yeah, Coach Ray, you're exactly right. It says DPS electrical system questions during the flight as far as that goes. Gregory asked about FOI. We have an amazing FOI course, Gregory. I'm really proud of it. go check out m0atrial.com so you can check out the FOI course in there as well. Congratulations to Hunter, 650 hours preparing for job interviews and just send an application to regionals. Any tips or tricks to impress? Well, it's never a route that I went down. They're going to ask you all about your training, your check rides, how you train, how you standardize things. Remember, training for an airline, right, is all about standardization. It's all about your checklist usage. It's all about working as a team. So if I could highlight two things, Hunter, in these interviews, how good are you as a teammate? And you know, we all know that answer because we've been around you. And how are you at working within the standards, working within the system, as far as that goes as well. So let's see. Matthew said, appreciate your response. I'll leave my shovel at home. He knows about the check ride pitfall. No check ride pitfalls. What do I mean by check ride pitfall? I mean, when you give too much information. Tell me about the oxygen requirements. That's the question. And you go, oh, well, there's this regulation called 91.211, and if we're at 12,500 feet for more than 30 minutes, the required crew must be on oxygen. That's because we could get hypoxic, and you know there's 4 types of hypoxia. And what's the next question going to be? They're going to go, oh, 4 types of hypoxia, tell me about that. Right? You just zip it. What was the question? Oxygen requirements. Answer it and zip it. It's like a deposition. You answer the question and you zip it. It's not going to feel like a natural conversation. You answer the question and you zip it. Leave the awkward pauses. Let them be awkward. There's nothing awkward about passing your check ride. Just zip it. Trust me, just zip it. Beck asks, any questions for the IFR test? Just zip it. And be ready for a partial panel. Remember on the IFR, so I don't know what airplane you're flying, you're going to get one freebie. You're going to get one coupled approach as far as that goes for the flight test. You're going to get one coupled approach, so make sure you know how to use your autopilot. You're also, you know you're going to have a partial panel approach, so be ready for that as well. All right, let's find some more. Kathy says, still liking the Avidyne, loving the Avidyne. Absolutely love it. Super, super intuitive as well. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? There's a bunch I'm missing, and I apologize. There's a bunch of you on here. Username AirJ said, check ride in marriage, same thing, zip it. Answer the question and zip it. Wise man there. AirJ, how long have you been married? That's what I want to know. All right, other questions or comments as far as that goes. Trish said, tips for staying within ACS if given an approach plate to brief after you're off the ground already. Struggling with that in my instrument training, not wanting to give the autopilot too much. ACS given approach plate briefing. Oh, after. Hopefully you've reviewed that approach plate on the ground. But sometimes things happen on the fly, no pun intended. You do have to be able to brief that approach quickly, methodically, and work through it. It's that important. I'll ask, how's Magda? I was just told to zip it. I was just told to zip it. So not by her, by Jay above. That's zipping it. All right, let's find some other ones here. Richard asked a really great question. Do I have a technique for identifying 500 feet below the clouds, 1,000 feet below the cloud, or 1,000 feet above the clouds, 2,000 feet horizontally? The clouds are scattered at 2,500 feet. Let's go to 2,000 feet and let's look at it, right? Let's get above a few layer with your CFI police, who's also a double I, and let's know where the tops are and eyeball that as well. 2,000 horizontally is always a tricky one when it comes to that, but you're going to get good at gauging, hey, what does 2,000 feet down the runway look like? That's something you can gauge and measure. So get used to seeing that time and space, but getting 500 feet below the clouds, it's much closer than you think. You're going to feel like you're almost in them when you're only 500 feet below them as well. So super, super good with that. All right. Anything else? David R., yes, audiobooks are actually in the process of being updated now. And there may or may not be an Aviation Mastery audiobook coming out quite soon as well. Listen, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your Monday night to find new ways to better yourselves as a pilot. You are such a blessing to us, and hopefully we've been a blessing to you this evening. Thank you for playing full out. Thank you for your comments. Have an abundant, blessed rest of your night, and most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you, and ground school members, I'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. inside the online ground school. I'll see y'all.